Hello everyone, good morning or good afternoon or good evening depending on where or when you're watching. And today we're going to be talking about changing some frustrating food habits because I've been talking to you guys and first of all I just want to thank you who responded and commented on my post question from yesterday. I'm getting a lot of great feedback and that's going to help me so that I can help you. So today, that's why I was thinking I wanted to talk a little bit about some really frustrating food habits that we have and that we struggle with and that I can help you work through. So I'm Kelsie, Michaud, health and life coach, and I help people to end emotional eating so that they can just feel good in the choices that they make and in their own body so that they can just live this super powerful life. So we know that changing our eating behaviors and these habits in a way that makes it really lasting and sustainable can be really hard, or even just the thought of it can be kind of daunting sometimes. So is there really hope for you for changing your eating behaviors? Well, I'm here to tell you that yes, it is totally possible, okay? I know this because I've done it, okay? It didn't happen overnight, certainly, but it did happen. And to do it, you have to understand exactly what is driving your desire to change. Like, what is your big why? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to change? For myself, I want to be a healthier version, but for reasons that go way beyond that, okay? Like with diabetes and cancer running through my family, I certainly don't want to be diagnosed with either one of those. And as I'm getting older, I want to feel good. Plus, I want to be able to play with my children and run around and get up and move. And I want to have the energy. I want to feel the energy for myself and for them. Okay, I don't want to be feeling that like sluggish tiredness that a lot of times I know processed foods will give me that feeling. So I slowly transitioned myself to be eating less of these processed foods now, and now I eat more whole food ingredients, a lot more nutrient dense foods. And I'm not doing it just for my health, but because that's what I enjoy and that's what I like, and I'm giving my body what it needs. So that's certainly not to say that I don't enjoy pizza or ice cream or a nice glass of wine from time to time, because it's all about balance. All right, if I can do it, you can do it, because my clients are doing it as well. And in our culture, we have two main motivators to making these changes that we want when it comes to changing the way we eat. And one is wanting to be good, and the other one is wanting to look good. So, would you agree with that? Both tend to motivate. They motivate us in the beginning for sure, but then they kind of don't hold up for long. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? Because when you're wanting to be good, when you put that label on yourself, I believe there's more than ever before, eating has become like such a moral behavior, okay? So how many times have you heard the phrase sinful indulgence, when you're talking about a particular food? And really, since when has chocolate become a moral issue? Foods have been labeled either good or bad for a really long time. And unfortunately, that type of like black and white or good and bad labeling of food, it kind of extends on to the person that's eating it. So, okay, and then we call ourselves good or bad, right? So if you're not eating clean, then are you dirty? This is a totally twisted way of looking at it, especially if your eating behavior becomes about who you are, okay, and not just what you're putting in your mouth, all right? So this is also especially true for people who are dealing with the stigma of having a larger body. And there's actually a myth that if you have a larger than average body, that you somehow have failed, okay? But if you're motivated to change your behavior because of shame that's been kind of instilled in you, then you're actually looking for acceptance from others, all right? But what you really need, is just acceptance from yourself, okay? So it's a lot harder to take care of yourself when you don't actually care about yourself. And that's why self-care and self-love is so important, and being kind to yourself is so very important as well. Okay, so the thing is, like, more often I see people punishing themselves with food, one way or the other, either too much or not enough. All right, especially when they feel they have failed in some way. All right, so after that comes the shame. All right, you're made to feel shame, and when it comes from the inside, when it comes from inside yourself or from others, that's not motivating at all. That's definitely not a good motivator, and that's because a natural response to shame ends up being anger. You get angry, you get mad, you get frustrated, and getting mad and rebelling is one of the most powerless ways and shamed ways that you can that it makes you feel. Okay, so some will call it rebellion, all right, and sometimes it could be called sabotage, but it's that inner drive that tells you can. Okay, you can when everyone else says you can't. Okay, so it's so important to remind yourself that yes, you can do it, you got this. And if you think about it, we've been sold out of that $65 billion diet industry that sends the message that we can't trust ourselves with food, and that we really need to pay attention to them instead, so that we can listen to them and they can tell us exactly what to eat. Okay, when we have these rules that are just thrown at us, we're always saying, oh, I can't eat anything, I can't eat that, I can't eat this. But really what you should be saying is, I can eat anything I want, and I will, and I'll eat it when I want to, because that's a natural response. All right, but that only reinforces that shame and trying to get away so desperately, because we are listening to the diet industry and they're making us feel shamed because they told us we couldn't have a certain something. And then you naturally want it. When you're told you can't have something, you just want it that much more, but then you feel bad and you feel guilty because you feel like you did something wrong. Okay, and then there's the wanting to look good. That's our other motivator, right? We all want to look good. Besides we want to feel good, we want to look good. And this is another way that motivates us to actually change our eating behaviors and our eating habits. And the definition of good is usually driven by our society's ideal of what thin really is. It's that notion of that thinness that defines the beauty and health industry. And as a result of that, there's too many of us trying to change our body, our size, or our weight. And sometimes we do it all in the name of health because we're just routinely told that we need to lose weight to be healthy. All right, and actually yesterday I talked about it doesn't matter your size. Just because if you're a bigger size than the person standing next to you, it doesn't mean that you're any less healthy. If you have healthy habits in place, you can still be just as healthy, if not healthier. Okay, so when we make the plan to actually do this and be healthy, and it's usually not a time when we're hungry. We usually start to plan because we have some special event, right, that we have coming up that we want to look our best for, and that causes us to continue our calorie counting, or counting our points and counting those daily steps that we've taken to help us. This is like our plan of action. Okay, that's your course of action, so that you're trying to make sure that you look good for that event. So when we start out with the plan, we usually do really, really great whenever we're starting out. We start out with a bang. We're like, yep, I'm jumping back on. I'm doing this. I got this. It's time. I've had enough. I'm doing this. And then, it gets to a point where your reason is going to outweigh your evidence to make these fact-based decisions, because you're feeling this during these difficult moments. Like, you're feeling the pressure of this event coming up. And our brain is defaulting to this neural pathway that has been put there by the fear of our emotions, okay? And we end up giving in because we're not thinking about our new 12-week goal. We're thinking about surviving right now in this very moment. And as for the new plan, we'll start again tomorrow. We'll start again on Monday. We'll start again next week. I'll start fresh again. Don't worry. I'll have another day to start again. Okay, but then we end up we try to get back in that right mind again, that right mindset. And when we do that, it's like we've almost like, we get to a point where like, it's like dieting fatigue. You get tired of it. You get tired of this back and forth. Yes, I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna start new. I'm starting another diet. And it's like you get so tired of that diet, and it takes longer and longer to get back that motivation and to regain your energy and just to get enough energy to get back on that wagon sometimes. So are you wanting to feel good, right? I'm sure you are. You want to feel good. You want to feel your best. Who doesn't want to feel really good, right? So if the motivations are wanting you to be good and look good, if that doesn't work in the long run, then what does, okay? So when it comes to your behavior change, science is actually telling us that we have intrinsic motivation, okay? And that's the key here, okay? We need to listen to our intuition. And that's motivation. It just comes from within. It comes from within you. And it's internally driven by what is most important to you. And this actually had first confused me for quite a bit of time, because I would think to myself, okay, well, health is important to me. Why isn't that enough to motivate me? I want to be super, super healthy, like as healthy as I could possibly be. Then someone had asked me, like, well, when do you know when you're healthy? Is it when the doctor tells you? No, I think I'll know when I feel good, right? I'll know it in my body. I'll know it by exactly how I feel. So this is an example of your external motivation, knowing when you feel good and wanting to do what's really needed to keep you feeling that way is an example of the intrinsic and internal motivation, okay? So unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are so disconnected from their bodies by the shame that they don't even know when they feel good or when they feel bad. So how do you actually reconnect with your body and your mind? Because you want that body and mind to make that connection, because they go hand in hand, they work simultaneously together, and they work really well together when you allow them to be put together. So the pathway to actually reconnecting your body and your internal motivation is through being mindful, okay? And we can be really still and be present in the moment without any judgment. We can listen to our bodies, right? And it will give us that internal feedback and the answers that we're looking for if we actually slow down and we're quiet for a moment and we actually listen to what our body is telling us, because it will tell you. It's just a matter of listening, okay? And we can watch our thoughts and kind of sense our emotions, which are both a form of well-being, okay? And the next step is to just simply observe how your behaviors are making you feel in your day-to-day life, okay? And that's when it's easier to repeat the behaviors that make us feel well and feel good, all right? So, we can notice that some of the foods that we eat, in certain amounts or even in certain combinations at certain times either feel good or they don't feel so good. And I notice this every time I eat. I've learned exactly what works for me and what works against me, for sure. And you have to remember that you have the choice, okay? You are the one who makes the choice about what to eat and what not to eat and when to eat it. Okay, no one else is in charge of that for your body. You're in charge of what your body needs and what it needs to do. So when you begin to feel better, you can move more, obviously. You can have more energy. You can begin to sleep better and feel more rested. You'll be giving your body the chance to just fully detox and have less cravings for the next day. And I mean, just that alone sounds good. It feels good. And I know, because I live it every single day now. Just by simply pausing and noticing our awareness of our behaviors that make us feel good can create that reward pathway in our brain, okay? And it says, yes, this feels good. When you're practicing mindfulness, you can then focus your attention to the things that you just do each and every day, moment by moment. Your reward becomes like those twinkling little lights throughout your day that are lived moment by moment, rather than just putting pleasure on hold until we can finally allow it, maybe at the end of the day or maybe on the weekend when we overindulge as a reward. And that's where you end up overeating. And I know it's true. I know you do, because I did too, okay? And that certainly doesn't make you feel good. It didn't make me feel good in the long run, certainly not physically and definitely not mentally, okay? So as we tune into our clarity of the thoughts of our energy, and then we become more balanced. We start balancing our blood sugar. We begin to feel good, and we can better experience much more joy and less stress in our lives. But you need to develop that trust in yourself and develop the trust in the food again as well, okay? So people feel good when they're getting their most basic needs met, okay? It's really a lot more simple than you think or than it sounds, okay? If we are really, really feeling good about the decisions that we're making regarding our behaviors, we simply eat in a way that makes us feel good, okay? And it's not difficult to do, okay? It's here in this space where we make the decisions based on our own ability, not shame, okay? And we make conscious decisions, which allows us to be able to pause and make those decisions rather than just act out of habit, okay? So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Leave it in the comments for me, or you can reach out to me personally too. You can PM me if you'd like to chat. I'm happy to chat with you. And if you have any questions about any emotional eating issues or feelings you might be having, or eating intuitively as well, if you'd like to try eating intuitively, if you're curious about it, if you have any questions about that as well, let me know. I'd love to answer your questions and chat with you guys. So if there's no questions now, I'm going to hop off, but I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.